morning.
Yeah. No, I can make out whether because after that it is very silent on the other side. So I wonder whether I'm
No.
locked up.
No. Okay, so let's go further after we finish the 6 of it. Now we are going into the ego. What is the meaning of ego? So, sarvatmana drishyam idam mrishya eva na eva aham artha क्षणिकत्व दर्शनात् जानामि अहं सर्वम् इति प्रतीतिः कुतः अहम् आदिः क्षणिकस्य सिद्ध्येत्. So now basically we feel that there is a mind which knows all. So it has this seeing, drishyam, and it thinks that it has seen, and in that way it thinks that it has heard and touched and tasted and all of that. And this experience is unreal. Aham, na eva aham artha. The very ego also is something that is not real, because it is seemed to be fleeting from one object to another object. Janami aham sarvam iti pratitihi. I know everything. This is the only an apparent perception. Kutaha aham adihi kshanikasya siddhyet. How can the ego, which possesses such momentary perception, even be valid to be considered? So what we need to see in this, in the verse starting from 293 to 297, where we are trying to understand from ego as ego. So I have an individuality and I believe that I'm an individual. So I know that I'm an individual from my birth. So from that time, I am seeing, I am tasting, I am touching, I am smelling, I am tasting. And also I am thinking. These 6 gives an impression that there's somebody there inside. But it is moving along with the object. So when I say I am seeing, the object is moved, the seeing also is moved. So from A to B, just like now what is in the auto. So the different images are coming as the auto is moving. So which of the one he can call it as his. So just like that moment, everything is momentary, kshanika. And the easy way to identify ego is it starts moving along with the object. So if there were no object, then there is no ego. If there is an object, then there is an ego. So with ego requires buddhi, intellect, and intellect has the capability to perceive, and that perception, kshanika, momentary perception, is what ego possesses, that I know it. Not being aware that there is nobody to be there to experience. So it keeps on feeling that I exist when there is no one which exists except for Brahman. So now he says in 294th verse, Aham padartha tu aham adi sakshi nityam shushuptau api bhava darshanat brute hi ajaha nityaha iti shrutihi swayam tat pratyag atma sat asat vilakshanaha. So now, as seen in all the cases, all the beings, there is this witness, Sakshi. It witnesses all the four. That is Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara and Chitta. It always, even in deep sleep, its presence is always seen. It is unborn, it is eternal. Thus speaks the Shruti as real I. Now this I is not an individual I. There is no person. So when we say Atma Jnana, it means to get rid of this ego-based identification. So eventually we will come to know there is no Atma also. What exists is one consciousness which is in everything. There is no split up consciousness as we are seeing now. Tat pratyagatma, therefore that inner self is different from gross and subtle objects. So it can't be said to have an experience and an experiencer and an experienced at all. So in that no manas, no buddhi, no chitta, no ahankara exist. Mano buddhi chitta ahankara naham. So that is the pure consciousness. So sat asat vilakshanat is sat and asat in this case. It does not refer to the reality and non-existence. It means the what is visible and invisible. So if something is created, this with these five elements, and it becomes vyakta, then it will become avyakta very soon. And when there is a proper environment is given, then it again becomes vyakta, and again it becomes avyakta. So our body has become vyakta, but it is becoming avyakta in the day itself. That same body is not there as it was yesterday, as it was day before yesterday. Like that, if we go on looking at it, none of the body has remained the same of any person. So we can see very clearly that it's just a frame by frame which is coming. Because of consciousness, there is movement. Otherwise, there is no movement at all. So nobody exists in real sense. So even though it is perceived to be existing, but that existence is unreal, because it is changing, it is moving. So the day happens and the night happens, so the body cannot be stationary. It is moving. And the mind is also moving. So ego is also moving. The chittas are also moving. So along with the mind, along with the body, the four other things are also moving. That is manas, buddhi, ahankara, chitta. all the four along with the body is moving. But the witnesser is witnessing in everyone, not only in me, is witnessing in everyone. So he can't be said, or it cannot be said, that the consciousness is me. Yes, there is consciousness right now, but that is got nothing to do with my consciousness. So that inner self doesn't have anything to do with the gross and the subtle objects. So since there are no people to question, I think this will go pretty fast. Then we come to 295. Vikarinam sarva vikara vetta nityaha avikaraha bhavitum samarhati manoratha swapna shushuptau sputam punaha punaha drishtam asatvam etayoho. Of all the things which are liable to change, that which is the knower of all changes, nitya avikaraha, is eternal and changeless. Bhavitum samarhati, is fully worthy to be called that. Manoratha swapna shushuptau sputam, for that in the waking state, the dream and the deep sleep state, it is clearly perceived. Punah punha drishtam asatvam etayoho, one after the other, that the other two states do not exist simultaneously. So when we are in a waking state, the dream state is not possible, the shushupti is not possible. When you are in shushupti, the other two states are not possible. And when we are in swapna, the other two are not possible. That clearly shows.
Vilas,
Yeah.
this changing from these three states, it happens sometimes unknowingly, not most of the time. See, when I'm listening, suddenly mind goes somewhere, the shift happens. I'm like a Sapna Loka, even though I'm in Jagrata. So this shift is instantly happens, or it happens because of the Vasana?
It happens due to vasana. So the distraction is part of vasana. So once the mind is distracted, it goes into swapna. Or sometimes when we are listening to someone, we might even go to deep sleep for a second. So this is
Okay, now that is in the Jagrata Avastha. We go from Jagrata Avastha to Sapna.
correct.
And that Sapna Avastha, when it goes, especially during night time, I think we get maybe in within 5 minutes, I think we are able to go to bed, sleep. So that happens not because of Vasana, that happens because of the body requirement, right? Mind requirement.
Yeah, the mind requirement itself is the obstacle. There is no body requirement. Body doesn't require rest because it's always in rest. It is inert. Mind is the one which causes the body to get ache because it feels the aching of the body. But by itself, it doesn't ache. Only the mind makes that aching possible. So the sleep is required for the mind, not for the body.
So there is one mind which is beyond my control. It takes me to sleep state. Is that right?
Yes. So if you are aware, you will never go to sleep. So if you become consciousness, then mind cannot sleep. If you become mind, which is the fact, then there is this Jagrata Avastha, Swapna and the deep sleep. So that is all what it is. So now you have a fourth state called as the Turiya, where you don't go to sleep. You're completely aware of what is happening. So he says 296. Ato Atobhimanam Tyaja Masang Mamsapinde Pindabhimani Anyapi Buddhi Kalpite Kalatraya Abhadhyam Akhandabodham Jnatva Swam Atmanam Upaihi Shantim. Therefore, reject your identification with this mass of flesh, which is Mamsa Pinde. Pinda is rice, Mamsa is flesh. So, and that we call as a gross body. Pinda Abhimani Api Buddhi Kalpite. So, Pinda Abhimani. Abhimani, Mana is vanity, Abhimana is too much of pride of one's own body and possessions. Buddhi Kalpite. Now this is where the Buddhi comes. This is a wrong Buddhi. It says you are the mind and you are the body. So everyone would like to protect this filthy body because it's an imagination of the intellect. Kalatraya abhadhyam akhanda bodham, that which cannot be denied in the three periods of time, that is Jagrata Avastha, Swapna Avastha and Shushupti. That alone is absolute knowledge. Jnatva swam atmanam upaihi shantim. By realizing that your own self, attain the state of supreme peace. Tyaja abhimanam kula gotra nama rupa ashrameshu ardrashau ahriteshu lingasya dharman api Kartita adin tyaktva bhava akhanda sukha swarupaha. Now we have to do the following. Number 1. Tyaja, renounce. Abhimana, vanity of oneself, of the possessions. With kula, Brahmana Kula, Gotra, I am with so and so Gotra. Nama, the name given. Rupa, the form what I have possessed. Ashrameshu, I am the 4 ashramas. That Ardrashav, dependence on. Ashriteshu, this foul smelling putrid body, which is gross body. Lingasya dharman api kartita adin, the greatest thing of this body is linga, the gender. That is so filthy that it creates an impression of doership. I as a female body doing this, I as a male body doing that. Both are wrong. Renounce that. Tyaktva bhava akhanda sukha swarupaha. Thus by renouncing them, become the very essence of absolute, the unbroken bliss. Because this filth is the one which is stopping that bliss to be experienced. So remove the filth and you are one with everything. Keeping the filth, which is the creation of family, kula, which kula and what clan and what kind of people and what kind of tradition, what kind of religion we are going to follow. Gotra, the lineage from where I have come. Nama and Rupa and Ashrama. And on top of that, we have another stupid idea of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, which is also a man-made thing. There is nothing called as Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. So if we were to believe that after Dharma we do Artha, then we do Kama of desire and then ultimately get into Moksha, it is madness of the mind or the intellect. So it will never allow the truth to be seen. So we have to do the Tyaja, renounce. Anything that is man-made and it says that it just came from heaven or somewhere, that is completely fabricated. Or some god or angel is coming and giving this to us, is again fabricated. All of these fabrications, all of this filth has to be removed at once. And by renouncing Tyaktva Bhava Akhanda Sukha Swarupaha. Now this is what is called as unconditioning. So all along we've been conditioned to believe something is there. Now we find that there is nothing which is there. There is no thing to be associated with. And when that very thing is removed, the person is liberated from himself, because there is no self which is going to be there. It is universal self which is there in everyone and everything. Then we come to 12 verses which talks about the ego. So we start with 298. Santyanye Santi Anye Pratibandha Pumsaha Samsaraha Etavo Drishtaha Tesham Ekam Moolam Prathama Vikaraha Bhavati Ahankaraha. There are other obstacles which hurl the Pumsa, the male, into a world of birth and death. Let us now take a look at these. Tesham, for all of them. Ekam Moolam, one root cause. Prathama Vikaraha Bhavati Ahankaraha, the very first modification of ignorance, and that is called as ego. So if I say I exist in the morning, I exist in the afternoon, I exist in the evening, and I exist in the night, very simple, I am ignorant person. Yavat syat swasya sambandha ahankarena duratmana tavat na leshamatra api mukti varta vilakshana. As long as there is any relationship with this duratmana, a very bad atma called as ego, so long there cannot be even the slightest talk of liberation, mukti varta, because ego doesn't want to get liberated. It starts searching itself in two places. One, it will search in the mind. Two, it will search in the intellect. And both are dangerous. In the intellect, it feels that I am a logical, scientific, investigative person. And I want to find the truth. And that person will never find the truth, because ego will never allow that to happen, because buddhi is already tainted with the ego. Then he comes to the mind and he thinks that this mind is the one I need to cleanse. So he starts looking at the mind. The cleansing here is about removing the identification itself. But then the ahankara will say, well, I exist, so I can then clear the mind. And when it wants to clear the mind, it itself is having that. That means it itself has the buddhi, it itself has the ahankara, it itself has the manas, it itself has the chitta. And if you look at the chitta, it itself has the manas, it itself has the buddhi, it itself has the ahankara. If you look from manas, manas itself is manas, then it has buddhi, then it has ahankara, it has chitta. So all the four keeps on playing fool. If you find one, other three join. If you find the other three will join. If you find the other, then the other three will join. That will never show that it is separate, even though they are separate. And that is what the ahankarena duratmana. It plays around as though somebody is sitting there and watching. So it keeps on eating something or the other. So it eats the concepts, it eats the traditions, it eats identification, it eats the association, it eats remembrance. So it keeps on eating one thing or the other. And the universal consciousness just watches. It doesn't do anything. So now the question comes, then who is the person who is going to see this happening? There should be somebody. Otherwise, where is the experiencer and the experienced? Now that is where the person gets stuck, because the ego will never allow this to be seen. It wheels so badly that ultimately the person feels that I should see, and it will never be seen. So he says, as an example, in 300, he says that what is the bliss of an egoless man? Ahankara grahat muktaha swarupam upapadyate chandravat vimalaha purnaha sadanandaha swayam prabha. So now assume that somebody has got rid of mano, buddhi, ahankara, chitta. Then he gets his true nature. Swarupam upapadyate. Like the moon, chandravat vimalaha purnaha. Like the moon, let us say he was in eclipse and now he is out of eclipse, looks untainted and full, shining. Sadanandaha swayam prabha. Even so, he is an egoless man, ever blissful and glowing. So what it really means? How do we know somebody is blissful? Well, that person doesn't identify anything at all. So somebody comes and stands in front of him. He doesn't recognize. For transaction's sake, he recognizes, but internally he does not recognize. So now we have two schools of thought in this. One is to go out and be away. Another school of thought is that you be within the society and be like that, just like what Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter talks about. So when a yogi is awake, the world is sleeping, and when the world is awake, yogi is sleeping. In the same way, when the world is there, filled with names and forms, The yogi doesn't associate even a single one of them. Even though he is interacting with so many people, he doesn't keep a information that whom all did I meet, what are their characteristics, who is doing what, are they good people, bad people, ugly people, excellent people, all that would not be there. Neither the situations, whether it's a rainy situation or a sunshine situation or a cold situation or whatever that situation is, or any birth and death and all these kind of things which are there, or in terms of money and power and position and all that, he is asleep to the world. And when the world sleeps, so Krishna calls it as Jitendriya. So that person wakes up to the reality. So in the sleeping state of people, that is when the people are going around their own jobs, their own professions, their own identifications and all that, he is blissful because he is not associated with anyone. So this is the second school of thought which is there in Bhagavad Gita, that you interact but internally don't interact. So the first school of thought is that, look, that's not possible. So we need to cut everything and go out and go to a remote place and sit, because it's not possible to do this while interacting with people. So there are two schools of thought, and both the school of thoughts are correct in their own way. So if I go by Bhagavad Gita, then you have to do what you are doing. Don't run away from the place. Do all that what you need to do being there. But if you take the Upanishadic viewpoint and try to see how this can be organized, then Upanishad also says that you can go out, leave your family, leave everything, leave all your belongings and go there where no person comes back. So what Krishna does is, in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where we covered on Atma Samyama Yoga, so he then gives an simile there. You go to a place where you don't return. It has two meanings there. One is going internally, wherein the second school of thought works. Or if you take the literal meaning of it, then you go and sit in a place, can be root of a tree or a empty space or empty hut where nobody is there and you are all alone. You can do that. Both are okay. But if somebody sees the person, he is ever blissful because he has no identification that I am so and so and I am doing so and so. All that is not there. Even when that person is a yogi, he doesn't claim that he is a yogi, because if he claims to be a yogi, then he is literally not a yogi, because that ego is still there. It's a refined ego, but yet it's a ego. So there is nothing to get identified. And he doesn't have to put any titles for himself. If somebody wants to call something, let him call. But he doesn't have to put a title for himself and say that please call me by so and so. Yes, out of respect, if they want to put a name, fine, done. But internally he doesn't take that to be his name. Neither he takes it to be his form. Neither he takes that to be his kula, nor gotra, nor any other thing. So then he is a Sadananda, Swayam Prabha, is fully growing. Now he says why you should do that. Yaha va pure saha aham iti pratitaha buddhya prakalpitaha tamasa ati mudhaya tasya eva nisheshataya vinashi ब्रह्मात्म भावः प्रतिबंध शून्यः। यः व पुरे सः अहम इति प्रतीतः। That which is pura means city, so this body is like a city. So now when this city is there, you need to put titles. So we can say I have a head, I have a torso, I have hands, I have legs, I have this, I have that, I am so and so, working in so and so, having this family, having that, and having stayed here, staying there, or I'll be staying in another place. I am going here, I'll be going there, I am in so and so, and I will be moving to so and so. I am now working at home, and I will be working from office, and all of that. So it becomes so and so, the ego. Buddhya prakalpitaha tamasa ati mudaha has been produced by intellect, and it is completely deluded. Yes.
So this is only intellect, right? The aham comes because of intellect only.
Yes.
And then the moment intellect is away, it is aham brahmasmi, pure state.
Yes.
Now there are some people, they are actual mudhas, means they don't have that kind of intellect. They have some intellect to live.
Right.
Okay, here what you are talking is intellect is we have earned through our dhyana and all that techniques. And then in Jagrata Avastha we are realizing. But the other, by the birth there are so many mudhas.
No,
They don't have that kind of intellect except just for living. What about them? They need one more birth to realize?
No, it's like this. Whether we have this intellect or that intellect, both in the intellect are the same. He is Muda because that his Punya Phala is not there to have a sharp intellect where he can learn something. That is also a Muda, and somebody who is having very sharp intellect is also a Muda. Both are Muda.
Yeah. One is too much of intellect is to acquire this Matsrupa Panchendriyas. That is that Mudha understood. They are trying to come away through spirituality. By birth Mudha, they have no opportunity to come out because they are Mudhas.
Correct. Absolutely.
Because they cannot even do dhyana properly.
Correct. Very correct. So
my question is, for them, there is no punya phalam, so they don't have sharp intellect. So they have to take one more birth.
Yes.
For realization.
Correct.
Or their prarabdha will be over here. They have no desires because they are mudhas. They have no desire also.
No.
And-
It doesn't work that way. Just because, see, now I am attending to autistic people. So that doesn't mean that they are in a better position. Because I know one person whose intellect is completely off. He doesn't know anything. Okay, the only thing I have taught him is how to meditate, and he does it, and his mother teaches, he does along with me and his mother, and that's all what he does for the whole day. And he has to be informed to take bath, then he takes bath. He has to be informed to eat, then he eats. Then he has to be informed on a daily basis to brush his teeth, then he brushes the teeth. So he's like that. Okay. Now, is he a better person than from this point of view? If we take, then this other intellect is bad. Okay, agreed, because that is going to create ego. Now this guy doesn't have any ego, right? No, that doesn't work that way. You need to have a sharp intellect and you have to give it up.
Correct. Like, so knowingly, you are giving it up.
Yes.
It's called the tyaga.
Yeah, that is tyaga. Otherwise, there is no tyaga.
So you need to have the tyaga buddhi. That means that intellect should be tyaga oriented. Then only you have opportunity to realize.
Yes. So now, if we look at the 301 verse, the city is made out of jiva. And this city is run by a corporation or a municipality called as buddhi. This municipality is made out of people, or we can call them as councillors or mayor. And they come with lot of political affiliations. So 3 political affiliations. One is a sattva, one is a rajas, and one is tamas. And maximum amount of time, the tamas is the one which wins. And that is named as avidya. And this city is run by avidya. That jivi is run by avidya. So the mayor of that city is ahankara. And he keeps on saying that I have done this, I have done that, I have done this for the city. I am keeping tab of what is happening, what is required in the city. So he will keep on shouting, I am so and so, and I am most popular in the city. And tamas is very nice because it is full of ignorance. And the entire municipality is moha. So in this moha, you have the following people. Even though they are all coming from the womb, and anybody can see that a person is coming from a womb, and before that he never existed. Still he feels that I have a family. Now the question to be asked is, before you got married, where was the family? Then he says, no, I got married, sir. I got married and I have a wife or I have a husband and we have a child. What do you want me to do? Throw the child out? No, I have a family. And if you ask the wife, she says, I have a son. If you ask the husband and he says, I have a son. And if you ask both of them, where is the son? They show one body and tell that, here is our son. Now when you ask them, okay, show me the photograph from the hospital. And they show, this is our baby. But where is your son? They are perplexed. Because the moha attribute is to be perplexed. Now it doesn't know. So what it does is, it keeps on updating its slideshow. So now whatever is the body of the current son I have right now, the father and mother sitting here have updated. After a few years, that is getting updated. And after a few years, and that new one is getting updated. So moha keeps on getting updated with the avidya. Okay, the mayor then will say that, you see, when the city was small, I built all of these. Now the city has grown so big. I have to accommodate all the people. And that's all we keep on doing. And this ego can never be destroyed. Because it can either become sattvic ego, or it can become rajasic ego, it can become tamasic ego. But you cannot remove the ego. Because you yourself is the ego, so you cannot remove yourself from that. So the being keeps on taking birth in search of husband and wife and the child. That's all. So that's all this GV is going to be. So what we need to do is put a bomb on that municipality. Destroy it completely. So then it doesn't have avidya. Because there is no buddhi now. So there is no mano, there is no buddhi, there is no chitta, there is no ahankara. All the four are gone. So the city itself is destroyed. That means the jiva is destroyed. So when the jiva is destroyed, the buddhi cannot stay. If the buddhi cannot stay, then the buddhi coming up with sattva, rajas, tamas cannot stay. If that cannot stay, the avidya cannot stay. If the avidya is not there, ahankara is not there. In ahankara is not there, there is no moha. So you're out. That would be the last birth. Because these are the fodder. You require a city. So now the city is gone. That's it. Over.
So when you do all tyaga from these Panchabhutas, you are above any limits. Means, see, if you are possessing any property or any education certificates and all that, you have to do tyaga of that also from your manas. Otherwise, you will be attached.
Exactly.
Telling that I am an engineer. So that is must, right? Unless you have that, you cannot expect this side.
Yes, you have to destroy everything that is called as you.
Correct.
Everything.
No relationship, because when you have only that relation starts. When you have no you, there is no relation. Suddenly you have done sarvatyaga.
Yes. So now the question comes, where do you have to do it? You have to do it in your own mind.
Yeah, my one question here, for realization is also that is required? It's only for liberation.
This is for liberation. This is, we are all four of us got realized some time ago.
Yeah, or sometimes it happens. Say, through meditation, it comes at realization and then again it comes back to normal world. But if you have permanently realization, nothing but liberation, right? It's a permanent.
Correct.
Time is also out.
Yes, there's no time and place.
So for that, it is very clear, even though we are living anywhere, we have to treat it as if it is Prakriti. That's it. I have no connection.
Yes. You have to leave everything. Kula and Gotra. Which includes
And
everything.
knowingly we should live. And that known is also because knower is myself. That also I have to drop.
Yes, absolutely. Now if I come and say that, look, I have dropped everything, that means I have not dropped anything.
Not dropped. It's very clear.
Because except for I have dropped everything.
Yes.
So he says in 302nd verse.
So this kind of things can happen to only 1 in million.
Yes, not to all.
In the spirit, I am talking about not all. In the spiritual seekers, in that also 1 in million.
Yeah, that is what even Krishna says.
Durlabha.
Yeah, that is what even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that it is very hard to say even one person is working towards it. Not possible. So the best scenario for all of us is to be a realized people. Realize that you are not that individual. That is better. Which is safer. That itself is difficult, but if we do it, it is
good. If that Marana Bhaya goes away, I can say it is one stage you have reached.
Yes.
We are always postponing our death through all this, so many means.
No.
We should welcome. We should welcome, because from the prarabdha is over, death will happen. So that is a welcome stage.
Correct. See, the death is this moment or this day. So if by evening we have completed all the obligations of the body, speech and mind, then you are ready for dying. Every day we are dying.
Yeah, actually that is correct. Actually, I have nothing to do in this earth. Simply I am thinking, see, if somebody dies, say Abdul Kalam example you gave other day, he just died. The students supposed to be there, yes, they connected to some other professor and their knowledge continued.
Correct.
There is nothing that I have to do here, because what I have to do here is, for my, till that prarabdha is over, I need to have the food and sleep. Only that much I do. If I do anything more, either as a social service, it's a punyam. Again, I have to bring it to zero, balance.
Correct.
If I do other way, it's a papam. That also I have to bring it to zero. So the life designed in such a way that you don't have to do anything. Nature is nature, you is you. These two are two different entities.
Correct. Absolutely. That is correct.
So whether I gain or if I lose, no need to worry. It means
No, there is nothing to gain or nothing to lose. It is not about whether you gain something or lose something. There is absolutely nothing to gain, nothing to lose. I'll give an example, but my wife's cousin, he had given a call few days ago. He is now around 70. 70, Allah? So he has earned so much money from Gulf. Think from age of 27 or 28 or 30. Okay, he has remained in Gulf. So he was in Sharjah, then he was in Dubai, then Kuwait, then so many places, Iraq and all. So he made money, and he has home, everything is there. So he gave me a call saying that, how are you managing? Because he is fearing with the amount of petrol hike, with the amount of cost going up, and now that he is retired, in fact, he took extension from his organization. So they gave him 3 extensions, and then he had this knee problem. Okay, and he had acidity, and he had so many other things. So ultimately, due to the health issue, he had to stop working, and he had a terrible backache. So at 67, he was having all kind of problems, and then his knee also got replaced. But he thought that he can still work. So after his knee replacement surgery, he even started going back to his office. Okay, because his objective was, till your last breath, you should be working. Reason being, if you don't work, then what is the point? Because this cost is going to increase, and you will not be able to maintain your family. The son is married, he has his own son, and they are settled down in Singapore. The daughter is married, and she is staying with her husband, and they are staying in their home. And yet he now feels that he should be working, because he is getting terribly bored on one side, sitting at home because of COVID. And secondly, he started giving me information that, look, you see the petrol cost now, it has gone to 105 rupees, and this cost has increased, and this has happened, that has happened. So he wanted to know, how am I managing things? So I told him, look, I am after this COVID situation, I'm not having anything to do with Himalayas, so I'm working with ABB. So he was praising me, saying that, look, at least you did a smart decision. What if you didn't have this ABB assignment? What would have happened to your life? So it is good that you stayed back and you're working. Otherwise, even now I feel that I should be working. And that earlier company would like to hire me back. If I go back and ask them, they'll hire me. But my body is not capable, so I'm not working. So he is in so much of fear. So why this happens, if we were to see, is because the ego doesn't want to give up. And the fear here is, I have a family, and I was wanting to tell him, boss, your family has separated out. You have a wife, and wife was a police inspector, or she was working for police. He is getting pension. Now how much more money does a person require? I'm not able to understand. Okay. So the problem here is that we don't want to give up. It's not about anything. The family itself doesn't exist. In real sense, right now it doesn't exist for him. It was existing while he was working in Gulf. Now the son is not asking anything to his father. And they have bought their own property. So they are well settled. And they have become Singapore. I think they have a PR now in Singapore. So they are not going to come back at any point in time. And the daughter got married a few years ago. Now she is going to become a mother, and her husband is there, and he's taking care of her. So this is what we do in our life. And he is not happy.
Yes.
And he is not happy even for a day, because he has so much of fear. What happens?
Yeah, dhana is always dhana. You have to maintain that dhana. More the dhana, maintenance the attack.
Yes. So he was. Yeah, he was. Earlier also, I was telling him why. I was asking him, why do you work so much? He was saying that you are a stupid person because you don't know the value of money. You don't know the value of a career. So I said, okay. Because I had in fact gone to Sharjah to to celebrate his birthday. I had gone for something else, but at the same time 50th year birthday we had in Sharjah and Dubai. So the thing is, from then to 27 years after that, sorry, not 17 years after that, he has not hung up his boots even for a day. Even now he thinks he should be working.
Yeah. So Vilas, it is 9:30.
Yeah.
I need to attend another meeting.
No problem. So we'll meet tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay, good day. Bye.
Good day.